You can think of the car brand Genesis as Hyundai's Lexus. It is a prestige vehicle with a sense of privilege, but it is built on the foundation of a very strong, large organisation that has huge design and manufacturing capabilities. But they've had a bit of a rocky road here in Australia, if you pardon the pun. They came in not that long ago, but then went out again for a bit of a rethink. And when they returned, despite having what could be considered some very positive reviews on their extensive features and their value for money, they're now finding it rather hard to get sales in our market. And to be fair, so are a number of other prestige vehicles. This vehicle is the Genesis G70 medium-size sedan vehicle. In 2024, they've had trouble bothering the scorer with very low sales. Is that a fair result? Let's have a look. The flow of the design you can get with a sedan, particularly at the back with a fastback sort of shape, which is something that just doesn't work with an SUV, with a boxy main part of the body of the car and this sudden little slope down at the back. It's made for some of the ugliest vehicles around. And this, like the earlier Jaguars, as we've talked about, has a flowing elegance to it. At the front, it doesn't look over aggressive, but it certainly looks purposeful. And the use of those lights and the features around them, which aren't full of bling, but rather elegant lines. I think it really does capture the spirit of the car. And the logo, which some say looks a bit like an Aston Martin, has enough simplicity and I think comprehension about it. Simple wings and a name. Again, I find the simplicity of the back of that vehicle has an elegance to it. The inside, like our comparison with old Jaguars, is very plush. Very strong colours, but I don't think it's overstated. Nice little bit of stitching here and there, but not much here, or a little bit on the door handles. Again, I think that's elegant without being overstated. And the back, that's quite strong here, quite dominant, but the back again has that elegance of almost the old Rover as well. But of course, the space in the back is going to be a problem. For all that, it does have a long wheelbase. Thank heavens it's got telescopic arms. Now that's a big engine. That's certainly not without its complexity. Some pretty strong suspension arms here as well.
If you value independent journalism or simply enjoyed the video, please support the channel by hitting like and subscribe.
It is a sedan, and I'm not very flexible. Now, starting her up and getting adjusted, electric, very nice. But you notice that it does come out a long way and go in. Now, I like a steering wheel that's close to me, but I like plenty of room for my legs, and I can certainly do that. In fact, that's funny thing is I'm overstretched to get to the pedals, and I'm long-armed. So I'm about 6 foot, 182 or so in the old measure, So adjusting that is a little unusual in many cars, well, having to adjust it up quite a way, but that is of course to the blessed relief of the people in the back seat. The layout is remarkably easy to get to, although I do find that sometimes you're pressing these buttons and you're not quite getting them to work as you might. But the layout is quite simple with a 10 inch or so screen there. I think that's plenty big enough, and it's got the usual settings on it. Map, nav, easy to get to, easy to learn, and rather plush inside. It does have a good ambience. We have a sunroof which covers the front part of the car, which I never drive with it actually open to the air, but I certainly open to the sunlight on a overcast day like this. I think that's quite appropriate on a very hot Australian summer's day. The layout is typically Hyundai. 2 dials, digital. If you put the left-hand blinker on, the left-hand dial becomes a camera to the blind spot. You know, it takes me a while to get used to that. I forever keep looking at this way. But of course these mirrors do pick up blind spot, and it will warn you if you are indicating that you're going to move to the left when there's a car that is there. You really have to get used to a car to turn off what you want and set it up the way you want it before you get going and before it becomes a distraction. Like most new cars, you have to sit in it before you start going and set it up, because quite often it'll reset to what is considered a safety level, but which I think can be a great distraction. Not necessarily the fault of manufacturers, but rather of regulations that are coming in. So before you get going, do all those things so you're not doing it on the run, which of course can get the thing to beep at you for not looking ahead enough, which might be a fair point, but to some degree it's not all my fault. Even on the very smooth surfaces of an urban road, the road noise is not too bad, but it takes but a minor change to a slightly rougher, slightly coarser aggregate that the road surface is, which is not as bad as some country rural roads. Why it's beeping at me. It picked up something here, and it was a car driving past, and so it said there's something near the car, but the car had driven past, it stopped showing it, but it kept beeping. And the only way I stopped it was to move the car a little bit, which puts it in a position where there's no vehicle there. The tacho is measured in thousands of revs per minute. I suppose that eliminates the situation, if it was just pure digital, of the numbers, the smaller parts of the decimal point flashing through at great speed. See, now it was giving me a lane warning, but I was well within my lane, but there had been some old markings well removed, and they were just dashes. I have to say I always liked the Hyundai lane keep assist, but I found in this one it felt more intrusive. It didn't jab at you like some, and that's good, but it was hard to find a level where you weren't having to put a little bit of pressure on it all the time. The accelerator pedal here isn't linear. If I just breathe on it, it's fine. But if I just push it and it gets to that point, it really gets up and goes. It might feel nice for the driver in me, but I found that in some situations where I was trying to do a simple overtake, it surged much more quickly than the amount of pedal pressure that I thought I was giving it. I actually prefer to drive it using manual gears, because when I gave it what I thought was a moderate amount of acceleration on the pedal, it gave me the zoom, and away we went. You notice I'm talking a little louder then. The reason is that we've gone on to a road surface which is of the style of laying tar and rolling an aggregate on it. Oh, and there we go to the smooth. One is much cheaper to do and usually used in rural areas. The smoother one is more often used in urban areas. But the low profile tyres, I think, make it too much intrusive noise, particularly on that slightly coarser road surface. We're back to the coarser stuff. We're doing about 90k on a 100 kilometre an hour speed limit. Back onto the smooth. The cruise control works well, but when it slowed down, because of traffic in front of me, it had automatically done it. And now I'm doing 1001, 1000 and nearly 2 seconds. But it seems to offend many people. And I don't have it. Oh, yes, I did. I had it at the, and I did have it at the maximum distance. Now, the car in front of me is not doing the full 100 kilometre an hour speed limit. Not by much, but I went to overtake in a similar situation, but I just wanted to accelerate quickly. It just seems to, this non-linear acceleration pedal catches you out. Something to get used to. The air conditioner seemed to work quickly and effectively, although I've got a non-tactile screen here that means that it's all smooth. Sometimes I thought I was hitting the increase the fan speed, but it just, apparently I wasn't quite dead on. I don't want the system to beep at me when it thinks I'm breaking the speed limit. I don't mind being warned, and typically the sign that it's picked up of what it thinks is the speed limit based on the signs on the road flash at me if I'm going over it a bit, but then it stops. There was one car, not sure if it's this one, where the actual speed that I'm reading on my digital dial goes to a different colour. Now I like that. I can cope with it. I see it regularly. I'm got my eye on it in the heads-up display. It's fine. But I don't find it annoying, and that's the point.
Have your own thoughts? We'd love to hear them. Good, bad, or in between. Have a chat with us by dropping a comment below.